Hey everybody, I've got another Synth Jam session today that I'd like to share. I've got two newer synths and two older synths combined into a pretty kind of sizable setup. It's kind of unique. It's not the kind of thing I would normally put all together. All analog synths this time, and we're starting with a Yamaha SK-30, a Yamaha CS-15, an Alesis HR-16 drum machine, a Moog Subsequent 37, and a Sequential Circuits Dave Smith Prophet 08. So the SK-30 and the CS-15 are the older pieces. The SK-30 is an interesting one. You don't see this synth very much. It's kind of an oddball. It was released around 1980. It's what we would call a ensemble synthesizer that has basically like 4 sound engines all in one. Here you can see it's got a solo synth, an organ, a string synth, and a polysynth. And you can combine all of these together or isolate them each if you like. It's a really interesting synth. It's got a really cool organ section with drawbar style levers, and the synth section is pretty cool. I feature that in this demo. It's pretty neat. I may have to do a whole demo with just the SK on its own. It does some really, really interesting sounds. The CS-15 is another older synth produced between 1979 and 1982. It's got this really cool architecture where it's got 2 independent signal paths with their own oscillators, filters, and envelopes. They can be routed in a variety of ways. This is a really interesting synth, and it shares its namesake with, of course, the famous CS-80, although I wouldn't say that it sounds similar to the 80 to my ears. But the CS-15 was one of my first synths, actually, that I got way back in the mid-90s. Moving over here, we've got the HR-16, which is probably a pretty well-known drum machine from the late 80s. It was introduced in 1988. It's a 16-bit high sample rate digital drum machine, and at the time it was pretty high-quality, realistic-sounding drums, at least for 1988. It also has a pretty cool little flip-top manual built right into the drum machine, which is always very handy in case you need to learn how to use it. So now over here we've got the Moog Subsequent 37, which I think is probably not a stranger to most keyboard players. It's a 37-key, 2-note paraphonic analog synth. The Subsequent 37 is a little bit of a sequel to the Sub 37, and it features a few improvements over the Sub 37, like more headroom, a richer lower end, wider multi-drive, an upgraded key bed, and some other things. The Subsequent 37 has a 100% analog signal path. It's got over 40 knobs and 74 switches. It's got the Moog ladder filter. It has a built-in scalable arpeggiator and a 64-note step sequencer, and lots of other stuff. This is a great little synth. Now moving down here to the Prophet 08 is probably no stranger to most keyboard players. It came out in 2007, has a completely analog signal path, but it does use DCOs. It's got a very classic raw analog sound with a more modern feature set, including a greatly expanded modulation matrix compared to its vintage predecessors. It also has a step sequencer, arpeggiator, and the ability to split or stack voices. Now, as far as effects for this jam, I've got a Vox Delay Lab and a TC Electronics Hall of Fame 2 reverb that everything is running through. So, without any further ado, here is the Synth Jam. Hope you enjoy it. If you like this content, be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks.